Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me today at the Punla coffee table. So get comfortable with your tea or coffee so I can read you a section from my book, Miracles or Coincidence? Seeing God at Work in Your Lives. I've titled this miracle, The Angel with Machetes, A Close Encounter with a Tree, Miracle. I know stories of angels are hard to believe, but sometimes the circumstances and events can only be explained this way. Most of us have heard such stories or read about them in the Bible. Do you believe God still sends His angels to help us in our time of need? I do. I've been blessed to see God's angels show up. My life will never be the same. In May of 2019, while in the Philippines on one of our mission trips, one of our team members became very sick. We feared she was suffering from appendicitis or maybe kidney stones. So let me back up in my story a few days so you can better understand the circumstances. Our May mission trip in 2019 was tough. I've often described the trip as walking uphill in chest-deep mud. The world seemed to be throwing its worst at us every step of the way, from lost luggage, jellyfish stings, and late-night crisis after late-night crisis. Let me just say that it was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. On the 5th day of our trip, we had gone by boat to a remote island to hold our church service and recharge our energy and spirits before starting the busiest week of our trip. At 6 p.m., we returned to the house. Everyone was tired from the sun and heat. My wife and I were still working on less than 10 hours of sleep in the past 4 days. I was looking forward to my first full night's sleep since leaving Houston a week earlier. At 9 p.m., our team member began to complain of stomach cramps. By 11:30 p.m., my wife and I had decided to retire for the night, hoping our team member's stomach ailment would pass overnight. At 1:30 a.m., we were awakened by a panicked knock at our bedroom door. She needed to go to the emergency room right now. My wife, being a nurse, surveyed the situation. All the symptoms pointed to either appendicitis or kidney stones. So after a few moments struggling to become fully awake and get oriented, we were off to the emergency room. I, my wife, our friend Andrew, our sick team member, and her husband. The 5 of us speeding down the road with me at the wheel. The nearest major hospital was in Naga City, which was more than a 45-minute drive away. The roads in remote areas of the Philippines are always treacherous with animals, people, and all types of vehicles. Night driving is especially dangerous since there are no street lights and many vehicles do not have headlights, or even reflectors. That night was even worse than normal. It was pitch black, starless, moonless, cloudy night. There were no lights of any kind except my headlights. We started zooming along, my head still foggy from exhaustion and having just been wakened from deep sleep. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I saw a huge tree laying completely across the road. I slammed on the brakes of our van, and we came to a screeching halt, barely avoiding a close encounter with the tree. We literally stopped inches from a huge branch of the tree. The branch was inches from my chest. 1 foot more, and I would probably have been crushed, if not dead, from the impact. We were literally in the tree with branches and leaves all around the front of our van. After a few short seconds to catch our breath, my wife told me to back the van off the side of the road in case a truck or another car came and did not see us until it was too late. I hurriedly backed up and got off to the side of the road to avoid any oncoming traffic and to assess our situation. Strangely enough, we were less than 50 feet from a small local hospital. Thinking we would be stuck there for hours, my wife decided to run to the hospital, hoping to get a wheelchair for our team member. My wife was thinking that even if the local hospital was not equipped to treat the condition of our team member, we might at least take her there and get some pain medicine and make her more comfortable. We had no idea how long it might take to get help, so we could take her to the bigger hospital. Right after my wife ran off into the darkness to get help from the hospital, about 11 guys on motorcycles dressed all in black came out of nowhere brandishing machetes. I was still in shock from the events of the last few minutes, so I could not fully comprehend what I was witnessing. The husband of our team member thought we were going to be robbed. I was too tired to process everything that was happening around us. I saw one of the man with a knife, not much bigger than a kitchen knife, tear into a branch in front of my face, the same branch that I had nearly impaled myself on seconds earlier. That branch was more than 6 inches in diameter. In my mind, I thought, there is no way these guys are going to be able to clear that tree without power equipment. Then to my disbelief, within seconds, they were carrying out huge branches, more than 6 inches in diameter. Within a few short minutes, the tree was cleared from our path. When my wife returned, in what she thought was less than 5 minutes, she saw that the tree had been moved out of the way. One of the men spoke to my wife, and she said she never saw his face. "It's clear," he said. "It must have been termites." As we sped onward toward the hospital, I began to replay the events in my mind. As we talked about what we had just witnessed, the gravity of the situation began to sink in. All of us were in shock from the sequence of events we had just experienced. None of us saw any of the faces of the men. No other vehicles were on the road. None of us saw the men coming. They just appeared and did amazing supernatural acts. I know those were angels sent by God to help us in our moment of need. Later that morning, I saw the tree in pieces along the road. I don't think I could have chopped that tree up with those knives in a month, let alone in a few short minutes. Angels among us? God intervening in our lives in a supernatural way? Well, I say yes to both questions, a miracle. As time has passed since these events, I have become certain of this miracle we saw that night. The sequence of events that led to that moment are vivid in my memory. First, our team member's illness. Second, the fact that it was the middle of the night when she needed to go to the hospital. 3, the fact that that night was pitch black, no moon, no stars, no street lights, no traffic on the road. 4, the fact that the tree fell blocking the road we were on just seconds before we got there. 5, the miracle that we stopped inches from a catastrophe. 6, the fact that the tree blocking the road was mere meters from the local hospital. 7, and then the angels appearing from nowhere, helpers from God the moment we needed them, just right at the moment in time when we were desperately needing a miracle. A story in Acts 12 is an example in the Bible of God sending his angel to rescue. The Apostle James had just been executed by King Agrippa, and now Peter was in prison. Peter knew he would surely be killed, but God had more planned for Peter. God sends an angel and miraculously helps Peter escape from prison and certain death. It is important to recognize and acknowledge when God shows up in our lives. There are no promises from God that he will always send his angels in every situation, but when he does, we need to take notice. Thank our Father in heaven for these glimpses of heaven. Acts chapter 12, verses 1 through 11, New King James Version. About that time, King Herod Agrippa began to persecute some of the believers in the church. He had the apostle James, John's brother, killed with the sword. When Herod saw how much this pleased the Jewish people, he also arrested Peter. This took place during the Passover celebration. Then he imprisoned him, placing him under guard of 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Herod intended to bring Peter out for public trial after the Passover. But while Peter was in prison, the church prayed very earnestly for him. The night before Peter was to be placed on trial, he was asleep, fastened with 2 chains between 2 soldiers. Others stood guard at the prison gate. Suddenly there was a bright light in the cell, and the angel of the Lord stood before Peter. The angel struck him on the side to awaken him and said, "Quick, get up." And the chains fell off his wrists. Then the angel told him, "Get dressed, put on your sandals," and he did. "Now put on your coat and follow me," the angel ordered. So Peter left the cell following the angel, but all the time he thought it was a vision. He didn't realize it was actually happening. They passed the first and second guard posts and came to the iron gate leading to the city, and this opened for them all by itself. So they passed through and started walking toward the street, and then the angel suddenly left him. Peter finally came to his senses. "It's really true," he said. "The Lord has sent his angel and saved me from Herod and from what the Jewish leaders had planned to do to me." Just to complete my story, we arrived at the hospital emergency room sometime around 2:30 a.m. After many, many frustrating hours, our team member received pain medicine and treatment. A CT scan revealed kidney stones and no sign of appendicitis. She was in tremendous pain and discomfort, and I think that being in a strange place with people mostly speaking a foreign language added to her anxiety. We made sure to keep an English speaker with her at all times to ease her and her husband's anxiety. After 3 days in the hospital, she was able to rejoin our team's activities. Thank the good Lord, she was comfortable for the remainder of our trip. The doctors believed that the kidney stones had passed, and she was still in need of some sort of treatment when she returned to America. Weakness prayer. Thank you, God, for sending your angels to help us in our moment of need. Thank you for reminding us that you are with us. Your power is made perfect in our weakest moments. Please help us, Father, to trust you. You are with us. Please help me to always look for you, not only when I'm powerless, but when I think I'm strong. And please help me to rely on you as my Father. Please help me to surrender to you. Thank you so much for these moments, these gifts, which show your kindness and love for us, your broken children. In your name, Jesus. Amen. Questions to reflect on. Do you believe God still sends his angels to help humans as he did in the Bible? Why or why not? Have you ever gotten help from a stranger? Have you ever helped a stranger? Well, that concludes my reading of Part 8 of Miracles or Coincidence, Seeing God at Work in Our Lives, Chapter 2.1, Angels with Machetes. Thank you for joining me today at the Punla Coffee Table, and if you liked our message, please click like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and you can hit the notification bell and be notified when we put up new content. Leave comments here or on our website, or you can email me. I want your feedback, so let me know what you think. So until next time at the Punla Coffee Table, God bless.